Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. The Communist Party of China has earned itself a dubious distinction of interfering in other countries' affairs. Its leadership influences the political discourses with its deep pockets and then calls the shots while sitting in Beijing. The modus operandi has been to invest, influence and control. China has done this with a number of countries, and its latest target is Nepal, which is now heading towards a political instability due to its prompt and over-obligation to China. There is a growing dissent within Nepalese establishment, and the leaders are asking PM to step down.
Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is under immense political pressure, both from his own party members and opposition, to step down from his chair. The resignation chorus that cropped up in wake of PM Oli's unsubstantiated and irresponsible remarks against Nepal's most trusted ally India has now grown into full-blown battle with no side giving in to persuasion. A lot of them accuse Prime Minister of getting manipulated at the hands of Beijing in its expansionist bid of gaining control over Indian territories. Oli, through both his words and actions, has seemingly launched a malicious agenda against India that has not resonated with either of his colleagues or common people.
Chinese involvement in Nepal has grown significantly. That was after the political change in 2008. And they have, cultivated relation with the political party, and they have cultivated, relation with people. So of course their engagement, economic engagement, has also increased. And in recent years, what we can see is, Chinese ambassador in Nepal, they frequently meet, leaders from different political parties when they feel necessary for them to meet and talk to them.
With Beijing's increasing appetite for land and resources, it has played out its tactic in Nepal as well. The country, which didn't have much to share with Nepal until 2008, pumped in huge investments in last one decade to increase its influence. By 2014, China contributed 42% of the total FDI to Nepal. In 2019 and 20, China pledged of $88 million FDI, representing 93% of total committed FDI of $95 million. China has also pledged to invest in connectivity across Nepal. This is China's modus operandi to accomplish its own devious agendas: invest, influence, and gain control. Tibetan leadership, which has been running the government in exile in India, says that Nepal should be cautious at this particular moment.
Engagement with your neighboring countries is always good, but what we say is be careful. We lost our country because of elite cooptation, and China's tactic of elite cooptation takes place everywhere in the world, including in South Asia and Nepal. So be careful.
While the communist ideology to govern a country has been rejected across the planet, Beijing has been desperately trying to refuel it and believes that it has found a patron in Nepal. However, not just a major portion of its leadership, but people too have rejected both its ideology and offers. A number of Nepali citizens gathered in front of Chinese embassy in Kathmandu and urged China to stay away from their land. This came after Chinese ambassador Hu Yanqi was seen meeting with different leaders. They were of the opinion that China was exploiting many small countries together and was looking to expand its agenda in Nepal as well.
हामी चाइनाले के बिगारिरहेछ भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ हाम्रो ध्यान पुगेको जस्तो लाग्दैन। त्यही भएर अहिले जुन याङ्की अहिले दौडधुपमा हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो आन्तरिक राजनीतिको जुन नेकपाको आन्तरिक कुराहरू मिलाउन हो यसको चाहिँ हामीले विरोध गरेको हो खास।
China had floated its ambitious One Belt, One Road in 2013. After sustained persuasion, it managed to bring communist-led Nepalese government on table in 2017. Chinese also tried to persuade India, but New Delhi has repeatedly denied its proposals for Chinese economic corridors, which disregard the territorial integrity of India and traverse through regions that are illegally occupied by China itself or Pakistan. These unwavering calls of New Delhi have spooked China, and it has been consistently devising strategies to undermine Indian endeavors, and Nepal is seemingly appearing to one of those.
Moving on. The COVID-19 pandemic has severely impacted the economies around the world, and each country has picked its individual course to challenge it and induce recovery. India, which had imposed world's largest lockdown and had urged citizens to become self-reliant, has invited corporations from around the world to establish themselves in the country. The government is planning to give country a two-pronged economy push. While it has been asking people to produce more towards becoming self-reliant, it has also invited outsiders to invest in India. And all this while comprehensively fighting corona.
India has invited world's biggest corporations to establish themselves in the country. The appeal made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi came at a time when the global economy has been severely affected by lockdowns and slowdowns caused by the emergence of coronavirus in China and its rapid spread thereafter.
India remains one of the most open economies in the world. We are laying a red carpet for all global companies to come and establish their presence in India. Very few countries will offer the kind of opportunities that India does today.
Indian government is slowly restarting economic activities after months of lockdown raised debts and persistent stress in the parts of the financial system. Earlier, India's MSME sector, which contributes over 30% of the total GDP of national economy and employs over 110 million people, had received a major chunk of the $267 billion economic stimulus announced by India to revive their slowdown. Modi also said that India is already seeing green sprouts of economic recovery and urged foreign investors to pour money in potential sectors of the country, including agriculture, defense and space, and micro, small and medium enterprises.
When India talks of revival, it is revival with care, revival with compassion, revival which is sustainable both for the environment and the economy.
India has already emerged as one of the favorite investment destinations across the world. And now, with most companies not trusting China for several issues other than its alleged role in spread of virus, they are looking towards India as a competent alternative. Foreign direct investment has grown significantly in India, with figures reaching near $50 billion previous year. Observers believe that coming years will be crucial for India for taking it towards a $5 trillion economy. And they say it is favorable time for country to attract more investment. While the country has been taking comprehensive steps to recover the losses, it has ramped up its facilities in dealing with COVID-19. A COVID hospital with 10,000 beds was recently inaugurated in New Delhi to accommodate more patients. More COVID centers and hospitals have been established to ramp up the treatment procedure in the country. While the government has been taking several steps to bring economy back on track, it is also ensuring that the corona curve is flattened effectively. While hundreds are contracting the virus every day in the country, the government efforts are now paying off with more people recovering.
Moving on. While Pakistan has systematically oppressed people of illegally occupied regions of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan for more than 7 decades, it has upped its discrimination and cruelty several-fold in recent times. It has shown a brazen disregard for the people with reason and has muzzled dissenting voices. It has plundered the land and resources in the region. Development projects have been installed in the region, but not a penny of profit or service goes to locals. A large number of them took to streets against the construction of Kohala Dam, which locals say will leave deprived.
People in the illegally occupied POK took to streets in Muzaffarabad against the construction of Kohala Power project, which they say will bring a multi-pronged crisis in the region. They shouted slogans urging Pakistan to roll back the decision of building a hydropower project in their region, which was taken with Chinese permission, not their consent. Locals say they will not give in to any political or administrative manipulation and will continue their demonstrations until the construction site is shut with companies gone. They say they were misled during entire pre-construction process and the two sides took their decisions keeping their individual profits in mind, ignoring even the existence of Kashmiris.
हमारा ये मुतालबा है कि ये जो ड्रामा हमारे सामने पेश किया गया है, ये एग्रीमेंट साइन हो गया है, वो एग्रीमेंट तो हमारे साथ हुआ ही नहीं है। वो एग्रीमेंट हुकूमत पाकिस्तान और चाइना के दरमियान हुआ है। हम तो खाली क्लैपिंग करने के लिए वहाँ पे खड़े थे। हमारा मुतालबा है अपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर से कि वो ये बात क्लियर करें, ये बताएं कि हम किस जगह खड़े हैं, क्या हमारे साथ कोई मुतालबा हुआ है, हमारी कोई हैसियत है। पहले तो ये बात हमें सामने आनी चाहिए, क्योंकि इस पे हमारे साथ झूठ बोला जा रहा है। आज़ाद हुकूमत के साथ इस वक्त तक कोई मायदा नहीं किया गया।
Earlier, a tripartite agreement for a 1,124 megawatt hydropower project was signed between the government of Pakistan, the government of China and Kohala Hydropower Company Limited, a subsidiary of China Three Gorges Corporation. As per the deal, a massive project will be constructed on River Jhelum in POK under the China's flagship China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Pakistan PM Imran Khan said this will provide clean fuel to Pakistan and POK. Locals say they will not get anything as Pakistan has never kept its promises in the past. While there are going to be economic and environmental impacts of the projects, the locals said that this will further deepen the water crisis and will hamper the tourism industry, which is responsible for feeding a square meal to most of them.
ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है ये हमारे एरिया में लग गया है। हमने पहले भी मैं बहुत बार ये कहा कि इसको हाथ से रोका है। मैं आप सबको ये चाहता हूँ कि आइंदा भी अगर कोई कोशिश की गई तो हम उसे हाथ से रोकेंगे। ये हमारा फैसला है, तयशुदा फैसला है कि हम उसको रोकेंगे, हाथ से रोकेंगे, कुवत से रोकेंगे, ताकत से रोकेंगे। और किसी सूरत में जो है वो इस तरह से ये हम उन्हें एक दिया था वो लूट के दूसरे दिया को हमें नहीं लूटने देंगे। इसलिए कि मैंने बहुत बार ये कहा कि ये दिया हमारा चेहरा है। कोई दुनिया का आदमी आप बताएं कि ये चाहता है कि उसका चेहरा मसल कर दिया जाए, उसका चेहरा जो है वो बिगाड़ दिया जाए, उसका चेहरा जो है वो खराब कर दिया जाए। ये दरिया हुस्न है हमारा। अगर ये दरिया खत्म हो गए तो फिर आप बताएंगे इसके बाद में बाकी क्या शहर में क्या तकलीफ जाएगी। यही दो दरिया है जिनको हम देख के भी हम भी खुश होते हैं, बाहर से लोग आते हैं वो भी देख के खुश होते हैं।
The erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir was invaded by Pakistan through its mercenaries in October 1947, and since then, the people of the region have been meted out in inhuman treatment. They have been exploited off their land and resources, but no profit has been shared with them. Pakistan has been manufacturing lies and floating propagandas regarding the region, but the truth is that people have been leading a life of misery owing to Islamabad's exploitative designs. And now, with China too joining in, the quality of life of people is going to and only going to deteriorate.
Moving on. Pakistan, which has found itself reeling under the menace of COVID-19 and has failed to report even the exact number of people who have contracted the virus, has come up with homemade ventilators. While this comes as a rare positive development from the country, doctors and experts believe that they still suffer from acute shortage of medical equipments. They have demonstrated against the government but have failed to gather any attention. The government is busy patting its own back.
Pakistan PM Imran Khan, who has repeatedly been criticized for his failure to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, handed over a bunch of dozen locally manufactured ventilators to the country's National Disaster Management Authority in the northwestern city of Haripur. It came amid a growing demand of ventilators and other essential medical equipment in the country. Last month, Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority chairman had told a parliamentary committee that there were only 1,500 ventilators available at government hospitals treating virus patients.
अभी 12 हमने तैयार कर लिए हैं और बाकी हमारी जो प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी है वो सिंगल शिफ्ट में 50 से 100 के करीब है एक हफ्ते में, और महीने में तकरीबन हम 300, 350 से लेकर 500 तक डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द ऑर्डर हम अपनी कैपेसिटी को बढ़ा सकते हैं। इसमें एक बताना ज़रूर समझूंगा यहाँ पे मैं आपको कि इंजीनियरिंग काउंसिल की एक टीम ने, एक्सपर्ट्स की टीम ने ऑलरेडी एनआरटीसी की तमाम प्रोडक्शन फैसिलिटीज़ को एवेलुएट किया। उस एवेलुएशन के बाद दे डिक्लेयर दैट इट इज़ एज़ पर इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स और ये वेंटिलेटर की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए बिल्कुल ठीक है।
Pakistan has reported around 250,000 cases and over 5,000 deaths since the outbreak of COVID-19. Observers say that it hasn't done enough tests to find the real number of patients. Pakistan is not a highly skilled and experienced country when it comes to manufacturing medical equipment, but is manufacturing its own material with no proven efficiency, as its capability to import have declined sharply amidst sagging economy. Market experts say a mechanical ventilator can cost up to $50,000. Pakistan's Science and Technology Minister believes that his country would become manufacturing hub for ventilators.
पाकिस्तान $2.1 बिलियन के जो इक्विपमेंट है, मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट है, हर साल बरामद करता है, और $1 बिलियन का हम सर्विस एग्रीमेंट करते हैं जो इस इक्विपमेंट को चलाने के लिए जो कंपनीज के साथ हम करते हैं। इस बहुत बड़े इनिशिएटिव के नतीजे में पाकिस्तान के अंदर एक बहुत बड़ी सनत जो है इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक की, यानी जो हमारी मेडिकल आलात की जो एक बहुत बड़ी सनत है, उसका आगाज़ होगा, और इंशाल्लाह पाकिस्तान को अगले 3 सालों में हम $1 बिलियन जो कि इंपोर्ट जो है वो बचाएंगे, और 5 सालों में इंशाल्लाह मुझे उम्मीद है कि पाकिस्तान को बैरूनी दुनिया से कोई भी जो मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट है वो मंगवाना नहीं पड़ेगा।
As many as 48 doctors have resigned in Lahore after their repeated demands of medical equipments were not paid any heed by administration. Doctors have also accused that they are being treated like second citizens. More than 70 medics, most of them doctors in Pakistan, have lost their lives to COVID-19 and over 5,000 have been infected so far. Senior doctors say that they will also exit if the government doesn't wake up now. Imran Khan government on the other side has reacted indifferently to their plight, and instead of ramping up facilities for doctors has been promoting its tiny achievements. In such a callous response, nobody knows as to how much of Pakistanis have already succumbed to the disease and how many more will become its victim.
As the monsoon season arrives in India, the country gears up to enjoy the wet weather and the beautiful month of Shravan, which is marked by a number of auspicious festivals and events. Dedicated to Lord Shiva, this month is all about prayers, devotion and fasting, and bears a huge significance in Hindu mythology. So today, let's take a look at how the Indians are observing the Shravan month amid COVID-19 pandemic.
Hindu devout across the country throng temples and rivers to mark the beginning of the holy month of Shravan, which will continue till 19th of August. In the Varanasi city of Uttar Pradesh, devotees took a holy dip in the rivers and offered prayers at temples for the peace and prosperity of their families. Albeit the crowds were lesser as compared to previous years due to the coronavirus pandemic, the devotees still visited temples of Hindu god of destruction Shiva in large numbers.
पहले तो बहुत ज़्यादा भीड़ होती थी, लगभग 2-3 किलोमीटर की लाइन लगती थी। इस बार काफ़ी बहुत ही कम है, 100 मीटर की ही लाइन है। ये कोरोना की वजह से और काफ़ी लेकर के सब लोग चिंतित हैं।
Meanwhile, the devotees in Bhubaneswar gathered at the city's Shiva temples to offer their prayers to the Lord. They lit up the lamps and offered their prayers from outside the temples as a measure to avoid any crowding.
पिछले 40 सालों से सावन के महीने में हर सोमवार हम यहाँ आते हैं। यहाँ जो बोल बम का गूंज गूंजता है, यहाँ पर जो भक्तों का समागम होता है, यहाँ जो एक भक्ति की लहर खेलती है, आज देख के बहुत बड़ा दुख भी हो रहा है, बड़ा आश्चर्य भी हो रहा है। ऐसा हमने कभी नहीं देखा था, ना कभी सोचा था कि ऐसा हो सकता है। बहुत दुख लग रहा है, पर विश्वास है कि बाबा सब ठीक करेंगे। इस कोरोना भय से हमको जल्दी मुक्ति मिलेगी।
5th month according to the Hindu calendar, Shravan has a special relevance to Lord Shiva and his spouse goddess Parvati, and it is believed that worshipping them in this month helps devotees attain salvation or moksha. Devotees also observe fasts on the Mondays of this month to attain Lord's blessings. Various festivals like Nag Panchami, Shravani Purnima, Varalakshmi Vrat, Govatsa, Raksha Bandhan, Kalke Avatar, Rishi Panchami are also celebrated in this auspicious month, making it the most joyous month of the year.
The country is expected to receive satisfactory monsoon this year. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.